This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for part 1 of The Suffering of a Trans Woman with Lexi Knight. Stay tuned. Part 2 starts now. So, you go back?
I did. I went back. For me, I think it was the only way I could get out of that relationship. The guy in me was a fucking dick.
Well, when you were trying to save the relationship by going back to being a guy?
No, I was trying to get the hell out of it.
Did you love your penis now?
No, I still hated my penis, but I knew, to get out of this physically abusive, mentally abusive, emotionally abusive relationship, the dick in me had to come out.
Or off.
Or off, yeah.
But you didn't hate it that much because you had a couple kids.
I did. I did what everybody else does. I thought it was, the normal thing to do. By the time I was 18 years old, I had my first, I was 24 years old when I had my daughter, and I was 27 when I had my son. And then I have an adopted son who is now 28 years old. That he came with my second wife. And so I adopted him, and he's like a son to me anyway. He's as far as I'm concerned, he's my own.
He's your own, yeah.
And so I did what everybody around me was doing. I had kids.
Well, did you detransition? I guess that's the right term for it, detransition. Did you
Untransition.
Detransition. Did you detransition because you thought that was what you were supposed? Well, okay, I tried this and it's just not working out.
No, I didn't even want to detransition. I detransitioned for a few reasons. One, I'm a recovering addict, and I'll be clean 11 years in May.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Congrats.
And so, being an addict, it's just it was one of those things that it destroyed one life, and she came out, and so I transitioned. We're in my late 30s at this point, and so I got in this bad relationship, and I'm on Suboxone, and I have been for 11 years, and so at that time I was still getting my hormones from a doctor, but I couldn't afford both doctors. So I had to make a choice. I was in between jobs. This girl was psycho. I mean, she called my employer every fucking minute of every fucking day. Like, I had to be on the phone with this girl constantly. And it's like, yeah, this is not going to work. Like, something, I got to do something. I got to get out of this, and it was the only thing that, I had in my life that was, I guess it was a roof over my head at this point. I don't think I really loved her at all. It was just a roof over my head, to be completely honest. And, that being said, I couldn't afford both doctors, so I had to make a choice. It was either my Suboxone doctor or my hormone doctor, because my Suboxone doctor would write everything I needed. He would write my Spiro, he would write my Motrin, he would write my anti-nausea, whatever. But one thing he would not write was my fucking estrogen.
Really?
Yeah.
That's odd.
Yeah, tell me about it. And so where he wouldn't write it, that was the only thing. When Suboxone got really popular, it became a cash cow for a lot of doctors. They charge, $250, $500, whatever it was, just to get into their fucking clinic, and then you had to pay for it. I was paying $1,000 a month, my, subscription, or my prescription rather, plus the doctor fee. I just couldn't afford all of it.
Yeah.
So I made the choice to stay on my Suboxone, obviously. And I was in the middle of jobs at the moment. So I lost my job because of her, and I needed to get out of this relationship. And so I said, fuck it. I'm going to detransition. And as I detransitioned, I became meaner and fucking meaner and meaner and more fucking hateful until I told the bitch to fuck the fuck off. And I walked out.
So what's that feel like, finally feeling a little bit of comfort in your life and then watching that comfort get snatched away from you?
I cried. I cried a lot, being on hormones, that thing didn't work, and that was nice. You guys, the morning wood and random erections, this, that, the other. Well, I didn't get any of that shit. Being on estrogen, it was liberating for me. No more of that, reminding myself that it was there. And
God, you're taking away the best part of that thing.
I know.
Sorry, couldn't stand it. She'll tell you more about that later. But
Best part of mornings.
yeah, fuck that. That was the worst part of my morning.
Folgers has nothing on that.
Oh my God.
That's what they say, whoever says the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup, never get a blowjob early in the morning.
My God, you say something similar, the same fucking thing. Sex in the morning, fuck coffee. But like, it was one of those things. I hated it that much. And the first time I got my erection back after being on hormones for so long, like I cried. I was so depressed and so sad. And, And I think I just became more and more hateful because I had to detransition because of this bitch. This bitch cost me everything. And now I get a detransition.
And all that money is spent on estrogen and all that stuff.
All that time transitioning and meeting people as me and, reintroducing myself as a person to all of these folks, even my mom.
Lexi's a guy again.
Yeah.
That's that type
Well,
of
I
thing.
had permanently changed my name in 2017. So here I am. I'm Lexi. I'm Lexi Knight, and I'm detransitioning. My mom, I remember, my mom almost pretty much really kind of disowned me when I started my first transition. We didn't talk very much, and we talked a little, but we weren't really close at that point anymore. And it's kind of the similar thing now, but we still talk, which is good. But when I detransitioned, she starts talking to me. She's calling me. I got my own place. And it was kind of getting out of that relationship was a big sigh of relief for me, and it took me about a month to really realize it. But there was one day I was home, and it was just so quiet in my house, and I had my dogs, whatever, and I'm in my own apartment in Greenville, and then all of a sudden I broke down crying. I was finally free of all of it. I was finally me. You know, I got to just be myself when I was by myself. So even though I detransitioned, I was still being me. I had grown a beard and whatever at that point because that was the manly thing to do. But
Did that make it seem like to other people that you transitioning to a female,
and then
that was
back.
just a phase? Like, did people say,
some people
I
thought
knew
that.
you'd snap out of it?
Yeah, well, some people thought that. They're like my mom. She had things like, a few of my friends, whatever. I lost friends that I had for 25 years when I started my first transition. Guys that I thought were my friends that I knew well. I met these people when I was 14, 15 years old, and I had known them all the way up into my late 30s, and I still, fuck, to this day, I don't talk to them, because you obviously weren't my friend,
Yeah.
So when Mike starts to transition, I'm not going to disown him.
God, I hope not.
I'm not going to disown him at all.
I'd be a pretty girl.
No, you wouldn't. No, I'm sorry, bro. You would not.
Hate to say it, Kevin, you'd be gorgeous as a woman, but beside the
What
point.
the fuck?
Sorry,
See
man.
that?
What the fuck?
Sorry, man.
With the beard and all.
Yeah.
But, hey,
I think I would be the ugliest woman in the planet.
I thought the same thing.
I just,
And if you look at the pictures, you think the same thing looking at me like that. And you look at me now, I don't look anything like her.
yeah. But so you said you became more and more aggressive, more angry.
I did. Testosterone started coming back.
Well, do you understand you were becoming your dad?
I was. You're absolutely correct. And I ended that cycle of abuse, And don't think for a second that I didn't want to hit this girl. This girl was beating the shit out of me. I just wanted to grab her by her throat and fucking throw her out the fucking door, but I couldn't do that. It's not the right thing to do,
But now you're a male and you can't hit a female.
Exactly. Well, it didn't matter anyway because, when we have arguments and, she'd be beating the shit out of me, I'd say, I'm calling the fucking cops. She'd go, go ahead, I'll just tell them you're a man. Dressing as a girl. And that was kind of my main motivator. It's like, well, this girl didn't fucking see me as a woman anyway. You know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to detransition. So I did.
Wow.
It was terrifying. I didn't want to do it, and so I kind of reintroduced my life to new people. I found a new job, new friends, new whatever, and I just reintroduced myself as dead name, and I put Lexi aside.
Dead name.
Dead name.
Dead name. So let's get into that because we had spoken about this off air.
We had.
That's we try to be very kind to our guests, and
of course
we try to stay away from something that makes them uncomfortable. And we won't say that out of respect for you, but I want to know you call it your dead name. Why?
Because that name comes with a lot of trauma. It comes with a lot of bad memories, a lot of things that I just wasn't happy with.
Do you think you'll ever come to terms with that name though?
I'm over it at this point.
Because
it has no power. I mean, I've changed everything.
It wasn't Kevin, was it?
No.
He's dead name to me sometimes.
Because I have an opinion on this. So
Sure.
you see this. It's the same arena, just a totally different movie where they erase monuments of the Confederacy in the South. You're not erasing history.
Right.
You're just making people blind to it. So
more or less, yeah.
So that name, although it does bring about a lot of trauma, it is still part of you. And without that name, we would never have Lexi. I'd never know Lexi if it wasn't for that dead name.
You're absolutely right.
So, hopefully one day you can stop calling it your dead name. And that was the person I was. I've transitioned fully.
Well, I mean,
that's just trying to hide a deep, dark period of your life, though, no?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm happy to tell my part of the story, as far as that. I just leave that part out. I mean, you know,
And that's fine. I'm not telling.
no.
Yeah, I'm not
I got you.
asking you
I
to.
mean, the whole thing was a mask. You know, it's like imagine getting up every single day and having to put on and say a Mickey Mouse mascot costume, right? And you got to wear that costume all effing day. You can't take it off. You can't break character. You can't do anything. And that is the life of a trans person. They are literally like it's like wearing a costume and a mask. You have to hide who you are constantly, 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, from the time you go to sleep to the time you wake up. The minute you wake up, you don't have time to think. You still need to be yourself, no matter what. And that's the way it was with her. You know, I would put my hair up all the time. I would, you know, I mean, I kept my long hair when I met her, you know, and I would always put my hair up so I wouldn't play with it because I constantly play with my hair. It's a thing, hard to do with headphones. So what's the point?
Yeah.
But I constantly
get
play
your
with my
point.
hair, right, or this or that, you know, and all the girly shit that you just can't fucking do. You know, she wanted a man. She was looking for a caveman. You know, like she
Crystal
wanted,
was?
Oh fuck yeah, she wanted. To me, the way I take it is that she wanted a person to spend time with, but not live together. You know, and somebody who knew how to break tables, smash walls, and that type of shit. Sex. That wasn't me. That just wasn't me.
So what was the?
That wasn't you.
So was this the time when you first met Crystal?
When I met Crystal about a year after I was on my own. I met her December 2019.
And was Lexi what you were looking for? You said she wasn't. Well, obviously she's not as she sits today. Not what you're looking at.
Or was dead name what you were looking for?
I don't think that was the case either. It just
Or was it
it's
just
all
right?
in her eyes.
Or was it
It's
just?
all in her eyes. I just knew that we were supposed to be together.
It was just right.
It was
Yes.
very familiar when we met. It was crazy. We met at a Longhorn Steakhouse, and most of her dates were, 30, 40 minutes, drinks or coffee, whatever. She was dating a lot at that time and just trying to meet new people, whatever,
That's
20,
nice. You
20
just
30
called your
minutes
wife
dates.
a
No.
serial dater.
Well, I mean, she was
Well,
essentially,
I had sometimes 3 dates a day.
Wow, you were
Yeah.
like speed dating.
more or less, yeah. In a different aspect, yeah.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the crazy part. But most of her normal dates were 20, 30 minutes, coffee, drinks, get to know each other. See if you have any sort of chemistry at all. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say what 1,000,
I think that's fair.
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
just
1,000 different men.
Just
Go out
like a
real-
woman window shopping.
Well, and that's it. It was all window shopping. It's no
The
no
apps
relationship.
Make it easy.
They say I
Oh man,
I miss the apps.
I always said on Tinder, it was like looking through the old Sears catalog, going, "Yeah, don't like this one. Yeah, don't like. Ooh, that one's pretty. Yeah, we'll try that. Ooh, don't like this one. I hated shopping. Whenever happened to freaking walking up to a bar, bumping a girl, maybe whatever. Oh, let me get you another beer or whatever. Whatever happened to those fucking
Yeah, no
days,
kidding.
right?
Well, that's why divorce is going up.
Yeah. Well, you're exactly right.
That's, because they're looking and not finding out anything else.
Mm-hmm.
and
You're
and-
exactly
and
right.
people leading that social media life. Half of the shit they put on there probably isn't true.
Oh God,
Then
it's a mask.
You get to know someone, and it's not the same person you just saw.
Yeah, there's some shallow fucking people out there
Yeah.
dating. Must be, 6 foot this, that, blah, blah, blah. Make 6 figures, blah, blah. Credit this, credit. It's like, give me a fucking break.
They
Give me
should
a
all
follow-up.
the credit score thing is not a bad idea, but that's
Don't marry people for money. Both of us married. We had nothing.
so you two meet, you guys hit it off, and
8-hour date, first date.
Lexi is still presenting as a male, and I'm sure sparks flew. You guys get together and you realize that there's something here.
Yes.
A little bit down in the relationship, you get a curveball thrown to you.
Year and a half later, actually, I didn't even have to tell her. I did tell her about my past life. I told her I'd lived, 18, 20 months or so as a woman.
And you were okay with that.
Well, she kind of made it sound like it was just something that she did that was in the past that she wasn't interested in doing again.
And you-
I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't research or think anything more of it.
And we let it go.
And you just let it go. Wow,
Yeah.
that's something amazing right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because a
but-
lot of my dates, like I'd had first few dates, and of course people go look at my Facebook, this, that, the other, and now obviously having a whole nother Facebook, but they'd look at it and they'd look at past pictures that I had posted on Facebook or whatever, and they'd be like, you left some things out, you know. It's like, okay, well, that's not exactly fucking first date material, man. Like,
no
I
shit.
didn't even tell her until the second date, and then, you know, she thought I was just teasing her, like, you know, a lot of, you know, women say, oh, I'm a man, you know, a woman's body, whatever, and they want to fuck all the time. She thought, you know, that I was just saying, well, I was a woman in a man's body. She thought she was gonna get laid all the
Hardcore
fucking time.
flirting.
Yeah.
That's not the best pickup line.
No, it
I've
really
ever heard.
isn't, you know. But by the time our third date come, I had actually, on our third date, I actually asked her to marry me. We were post-coital, and you know, I
You say
know.
that so kindly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's our story, and we know it, you know. And I looked down at her. You ever have one of those moments where the sex is so good, you just look at somebody and go, "Oh my God, fucking marry me," right? Well, that was it. That was that moment. I wasn't even serious. I've told her this. Like, I wasn't even serious about it, and she just looks up and goes, "Yes." And I'm
Called
like,
you
"Oh
on your
fuck,
bluff.
you sure as shit did." And now I'm fucking committed. So here we are. We're not, you know, we're done having sex, whatever. We're talking about planning our wedding. I'm like, oh my fucking God, what did I get into?
Oh, it gets better.
Usually
It-
guys say that to have sex.
Yeah, no, you're right. I didn't have to do any of that. There was
You,
none of
did-
that.
you, did- you needed to put that line in there first.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
That comes pre-coital.
Yep. And then on the third day, I really had to explain to her because she didn't fucking get it. She didn't really like understand that I literally had transitioned, that I changed my name. And, you know, she knew my actual physical name. And then back then, because it's Lexi is Russian. So I would just tell, you know, people, oh, you know, my parents are fucking Russian. They thought they were having a girl. That's what I would tell people just to end the fucking conversation. You know what I mean? It was so much easier, especially when I was, you know, went to work for my employer. It was just so much easier than having this long fucking drawn out conversation with her. We ended up finding out anyway because I ended up telling him the whole fucking story or whatever. But I told her to refer to me as dead name, and she did.
So what was that first conversation like? Where, yeah, I think I want to go back.
I didn't
Yeah.
have it.
How do you even broach that subject?
You just showed up one day.
No, she approached me. She asked me to transition.
Wait. All right, we need to spend a little time on this one. You
Breaks,
asked,
please.
you asked your. Were you married at this point?
We were married a year and a half at this point.
Yeah.
So you asked your husband, "You're a great dude, but I need you as a woman."
Nah, I was a shitty dude. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, she was miserable, and she was getting more and more withdrawn every day. And I spent about 6 months trying to research what could possibly be wrong with her. And I kept coming back to her being trans. And every time that I tried to share something with her that I was looking at or reading, what the fuck are you reading that for? I'm not trans, I used to be. Baby, I'm not sure that's how it works.
Words out of my mouth. Okay, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Change the subject, you know. There was one time we were walking through Lowe's, and I still hadn't transitioned. I was running a tree service at that time, and I was very, very busy. We actually got married just when COVID happened. And so we had been together, you know, we both got laid off about 3 months into our marriage, both got laid off about the same time. And so I no longer had that outlet for me to be myself.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm living with a woman. We're married. I no longer can just be me in my own apartment. So like I'm starting to lose her little by little by little by little by little.
You're
And
probably
then-
starting to lose your mind a little bit too.
and I did because
She was.
I started working from the time I got up until the time I went to bed. I would literally leave the house from the time I got up until the time it was time to come home and go back to bed, you know, and we hardly ever saw each other. And, you know, as that went on, COVID started to come to an end. And so I said, well, I'm going to start the business, et cetera. And I started the tree company and I immersed myself in that. And I just got busier and busier trying to push her away because I knew that I wasn't going to survive a whole lot longer. Like I had no intentions of continuing to live like this, none whatsoever. And so I tried to push her away and push and push and push. And God damn it, she just attached herself to me like a fucking
I'm
tick.
Cut from a different cloth.
Yep. And so every time I pushed away, she got hard. Hey, where you going today? Oh, I got some estimates to. Yeah, I'll go with you. And she just jump in the fucking car with me. Or, oh, where you going today? Oh, I got these, couple, 2, 3 trees to take down. Oh, I want to come. You're going to fucking work while you're there. You know, it's like, just going to stand around and watch me all fucking day. And she became part of the whole thing and ended up working with me anyway. And I had no intentions. So the following March of that year, it was around the first or second week of March. So I had gone down with my P95 Ruger, and I did a lot of reloading back then, and I was constantly in my garage just working. Like I said, I was trying to keep my distance from her. And that week I had done about, I don't know, 500 reloads or so. And I just reached into the tumbler and I just grabbed a whole bunch of them, tumbler to clean all the shells after they were done. And I just reached into the tumbler, grabbed a whole bunch of them, filled up the magazine, pulled it back, pulled it back, put it in my mouth, and I started crying. I was really thinking about it. I didn't want to do it, but I didn't want to live like this anymore, and, well, needless to say, I pulled the trigger and nothing happened.
You weren't a good reloader.
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm really good at it. I'll tell you about it in a minute, but I ended up dropping the gun and I left it there. I just left it there for about a week before I went back to it. And about a week after that, she had approached me. I was in and out of the house, and I had come in. It was about 7 o'clock at night. I was chasing daylight at that time because you know how the fucking seasons, man, they kill you when you're a tree guy.
I'm
So
sure.
I was trying to get some estimates done. And I'd walked in the house just to grab a soda, and I was leaving. And she goes, "Hey, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "Well, I don't have time to talk. I kept trying to chase daylight." She goes, "No, we need to talk." And I said, "Okay, well, can it wait?" She goes, "No, it can't wait." I'm like, "Well, what is it?" She goes, "Sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. We have got to talk now. Cancel whatever it is that you're doing." I said, "All right, fine." So I canceled, rescheduled, and she had that look in her face like she was gonna fucking kill me. I thought my marriage was over right here. Like I thought, the divorce talk. And she sits down on the couch. She goes, "Sit down." I'm like, "No, I'll stand. I'll stand."
Being the man.
That's it. I'll stand. Yep. And so she started talking about how, you're not happy. You're not giving me any of yourself. I've only got this tiny piece of you. I don't want this of you. I want this of you. And she started going on how I wasn't happy and how I'm miserable. And, of course, me being the man, no, of course I love you, blah, 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 blah. The issue is you don't fucking love yourself. So how the fuck can you love me? And she ended her conversation with, "I think you should transition back to a woman." And if you ever watch that cartoon where they just go super fucking pale, that was me. My heart just got wicked hot in my chest, and I was like a deer in fucking headlamps. I didn't know what to say. Here I'm running through my head. What did I do? What did I say? How does she know this, that, blah, blah, blah? And I told her I needed a couple days to think about it. And, so I took a couple days to think about it. And I had some spironolactone left over, which is, again, the testosterone suppressant. And that was all I had at that point. And I walked into the bathroom and I grabbed it, and I had 2 pills in my hand. They were 50 milligrams a pop, so 100 milligrams total. And I looked at her, I said, "Okay, I'm going to do this." And I had walked out and I had shaved my beard off. She had never seen me without a beard. Year and a half, she'd never see what I look like without a beard. But at this point, I am so stressed, and I'm heavy. I've gained a ton of fucking weight. I'm super stressed. I look nothing like I did when she married me. And she looked at me and said,
Do it.
"I fucking dare you, do it." She was just finally fucking relieved at this point. And so I took it, and of course that started the rest of it. And about a month later, I started on hormones. I found a doctor. Everything seemed to line up like it should have. It was kind of crazy. But back to the reloading thing, I went through all of those reloads. 499 of them all had primers. Every one of them. I had process. I take the shell, I deprime it, I prime it. I put powder in it. I put the tip in it. I crimp it. I throw it in a tumbler. Same process. Doesn't fail. Right? It's fail safe. You just one after the other, one machine after the other. You can't fuck it up. I fucked it up.
Becomes routine.
It becomes routine. Well, somehow or another, I missed one.
Wow.
And that was the one out of a handful that ended up in that chamber.
If it's not your time, you can't make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm starting to see some things. There are certain things that come into your life at the right time.
I think so.
You're out on the street, priest or the pastor gives you some money, buys you a meal.
Yep.
You miss a primer, pretty big one.
That's a big one.
That's a pretty big one.
499 rounds later, no primers missed. I ain't missed a primer since.
Well, hopefully you'll never need to
Well,
have it
no,
fail again.
I get that, but I mean, I do my own reloads, and why the hell not? But
That is one of the craziest stories I ever heard. I don't think I've ever heard of a wife asking their husband to transition.
shocked the shit out of me, let me tell you.
But how did you feel when you
I
finally
felt a huge
accepted?
sense of relief. We almost instantly connected. It's like she kept coming up to me, throughout that year, what is it? She'd say, what can I do to get closer to you? How can we be, how can we be better together? What can we, like, how do we get like this? And I just kept looking at her and say, it's got nothing to do with you. It's me. And I had a hard life up to that point, and I spent so much time, like, you ever walk into a place that you're staying at, like a hotel, and you get that, like, you're at a hotel feeling? That's how I always felt walking in my own fucking door. I own my home, right? We bought a house 2 weeks after after I asked her to marry me. We weren't even married yet, and we bought a house together, and I still felt like it wasn't my home. And I kept telling her, I'll let you know when it happens. I'll let you know when it happens.
Well, it was your home. It's just you weren't you.
Right. And I didn't know if I was ever going to find it, because I knew what I needed.
It was your house. It wasn't your home.
Right, exactly. It was just a place to stay as far as I was concerned. And, like, I knew what I needed to be happy, but I couldn't find the, testicular fortitude. If you would, to say it.
No
to her.
pun intended.
And I tried to bring up the conversation randomly here and there. We'd have sex, and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, I hate my fucking penis, or some shit like that. And of
But
course,
it doesn't sound like your wife hates it.
no, she didn't hate it. I was well endowed. There was not an issue there. But somebody like her, you would think, you would ask, why do you hate your penis? You would think
no.
somebody would bring that up.
No.
Yeah, of course not.
Because I'm not pushy.
She didn't have a curious bone in her body.
You're going to tell me what you want me to know.
Yep.
You'll get to it.
And post marriage, we had a discussion. I just had tested the water a little bit, and I had a conversation with her, and I said, hey, I transitioned, right? She goes, yeah, et cetera. I said, what if I wanted to do that again? Like, what if that time ever comes? And the words out of her mouth was, well, I can't promise you forever, because she didn't know enough about it at that point, and I didn't really give any thought to it. But needless to say, I shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was the end of that conversation. You can't promise me forever. I'm not going through this shit fucking twice. And that's exactly why I ended up just saying, fuck it. I didn't want to live anymore, because I couldn't lose everything twice. Like, holy fuck, no way.
Well, you got to experience something very rare that very few people get to experience, and it's unconditional love.
Yes. She didn't marry me for my penis, thank God.
Crystal, were you ever involved in any lesbian relationships, or was you just totally straight?
There was one time, but it wasn't for my benefit.
band
It
camp.
was for
One
the
time at band
benefit
camp.
of somebody else, but I honestly wasn't interested in that. So
And now, well, so you start transitioning.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a plan to
Fully transition.
I don't know.
Just ask it, yes.
Bottom surgery, but you're not going to lop it off. The key component to any law enforcement officer being the best version of themselves is through education. Sherrie Allsup is a leader in providing that education to police agencies, preparing them for the all too frequent dealings with sexual assault victims.
You've seen Sherrie on episode 169 of the Suffering Podcast. She survived incest and almost daily sexual assault, so she comes from a place of experience and true understanding.
Sherrie has the intelligence, commitment, and compassion to open the eyes of those on the front lines, while providing the tools to effectively deal with a difficult situation. Sherrie's instruction comes from experience and multiple certifications.
Training with Sherrie will offer on-site training, customized schedules, specialized instruction tailored from a victim's perspective.
You are going to hear Sherrie's heart-wrenching but inspiring survivor story. Learn proprietary trauma-informed training techniques, uncovered victim-centered interview methods while earning continuing education credits according to your state guidelines. To be the best, you must learn from the best. Let Sherrie Allsup guide you through the delicate cases of sexual assault from a victim's point of view.
Be a source of comfort to those victims affected by these traumatic experiences while producing a solid investigation and uncovering details that often go unnoticed.
To find out more or to contact Sherrie Allsup, go to sherrieallsup.com. That's SherrieAllsup.com.
Well, no, actually, I'm one of those, something worth doing is worth doing fucking right, but I've always been that way. But I mean, that's not, obviously why I transitioned.
But you can still present as a woman and have a penis.
You absolutely can. There's plenty of people out there that are more than comfortable with their parts, and that's fine. If that's your thing, that's cool. I have a few girlfriends that are trans, and they have their parts, and they're more than happy with it, and that's great. Good for you. But for me, I told you guys, for me, I hated it. It was, both of you said how much of an emotional attachment you have to your penis. Well, I didn't have that. I could have cared less about the thing. Christ, I'd have butched it off my own fucking kitchen if I could have. You know what I'm saying? But I had that conversation with her. She go, I said, you realize that I don't want to keep this thing, right? And her reaction was just so fucking nonchalant. She's like, oh, yeah, fucking whatever. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
I mean, I had researched for 6 months, so I was like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
So you decide to do the full surgery.
I did, yes. I had to obviously wait. You have to do, live as a year, etc. You have to follow the way past standards, World Professional Association of Transgender Health. There's actually standards to transition. It's like actual rules you have to follow. But I had gone the time, and I went to Thailand and had it done.
Well, they give you like all psych evals and all that stuff, don't they?
I actually ended up having 4 psych evaluations, 2 here in the United States, and I had to have 2 more when I was in Thailand because of Thai law.
So I know this. I had dealt with somebody who was born a woman, who wanted to transition into a man, and could never get the full surgery to transition into a man because couldn't pass the psychological. There were some mental issues there.
It happens.
There were some mental issues there, and I know that, but I didn't realize. But that was a while ago. I didn't realize that they still need to do the psychological evaluations before you go through the full surgery.
Well, I mean, it's a big deal. It's life changing. I mean, you're altering your body. You're not just, like my breast. I was lucky, right? I didn't have to grow breasts, or I didn't have to have implants. Rather, I grew my breast, right? So, they just grew, and so I didn't have to worry about that.
Look down. Wow, look at this.
Oh, I love
Look
my
here.
boobs. Don't get me wrong.
Look here.
Look at this. Wow.
Look what happened last night.
Yeah, well, that's why. I mean, I wear a 34 triple D for crying out loud. I did not see that fucking coming.
Didn't make a sound when they popped out like.
No, it fucking hurt though. Let me tell you, I cried. God, did it hurt when they were growing. But you have to follow these standards, and the psychological exams weren't hard. I mean, it's life changing. People who have bariatric surgery have to have that. Yeah. People who have organ transplants, or this, that, the other, they have to have psychological exams. The interesting part about that though, is that a lot of cis people, you would be cis. Absolutely love
cis.
Cis means you're born in the gender that you're happy with.
Okay.
You don't want to change anything. So cis man, cis woman, whatever. My wife's a cis woman, and so these people, they have cosmetic surgeries. Breast implants, facelifts, boob jobs, tummy tucks,
Botox.
Botox, right? Pec implants or calf implants for men, whatever men want to do, right? Well, you don't have to have a psychological exam for that. You could walk into an office tomorrow and say, "Hey, doc, I want to change my face, man," and nobody's going to say a word to you about it. 65% of all cis people actually regret having some sort of cosmetic surgery. That's a fact. Yet less than 1% of all trans people regret having any sort of gender affirming care.
I thought.
So who needs the psychological exam?
I thought
facelifts don't need it.
I thought there's a community out there of people who have had surgery and regret it and speak up against it.
Man, that is all propaganda bullshit.
Is it?
It is. If you
listen,
ever
I'm
notice,
not searching that stuff.
No, I got you. But
I've
if you ever notice, it's always the same 5 or 10 people that are always speaking out. It's never. If so many people are detransitioning, which the detransition rate is about 0.5%, right? So studies show that 97% of all trans people stay transitioned 5 years later. Of that 3% that's left over, they detransition to say non-binary or stay transition and kind of identify else. But about 0.5% of that detransitions due to family pressure, societal pressure, hate. But regret is very, very, very small. Most people end up detransitioning because of the pressure of society around them, because society is so fucking unaccepting of trans people, which is the dumbest thing ever, because it doesn't affect anybody's lives but their own. Nobody, and I always say this a lot, nobody is going to wake up one morning and sign up for this. Nobody wants to throw away their wife, their kids, their car, their home, their job, their friends, their fucking dog, for Christ's sakes, and end up with nothing, along with a life of isolation, solitude, ostracization, and discrimination. Nobody is signing up for that willingly, and that is my life. That is what normally I would face had my wife not stayed with me, because most people I know end up losing everything that they've ever known to them. I mean, you can be denied medical care just because you're trans. Getting trans coverage as insurance, fuck that. That's a joke. That's why I pay out of pocket and I go out of country for everything I need. I'm actually going to Costa Rica on the 16th of May for my teeth. I'm having teeth implants put in. I can't afford to do that shit here. $17K in Costa Rica.
Let me pose this question to you. Let's say you approached your wife about transitioning.
I don't know how she would have reacted.
But let's say you did, and she's like, if you transition, we're done. But that's part of you, and I understand it's something you have to do. But you love your wife, you just don't love your body.
I hated myself.
All right, so but what if she were to say, if you transition, we're done? Would you have still done it?
I wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be here. I would rather be dead than live as a man again. I told my wife, and she knows it. I've told everybody, even if she threatened me with divorce tomorrow, I am not detransitioning.
Okay.
But
Well-
that's more or less what happened in the beginning when, we had that first conversation and I said, I can't promise you forever. I was being careful with my words.
And she always is.
Yeah. And she took it to mean not a chance.
Oh, okay. So, but you were still ready to go full bore because you got to be who you got to be.
Well, I was going to be full bore man, and I did that for a year and a half.
So let's get a little bit into the surgery.
Sure.
You go under the anesthesia with a penis.
I go to Thailand. Yep.
You come out with no penis.
Correct.
Did you you got to give me some window into what happened when you opened your eyes?
The first thing I did was feel. I felt down. But when you have that kind of surgery, you are very bandaged after. They actually had they had this hard piece of plastic that started at the top of my pubic area and went all the way down in between my legs, and it just kind of got smaller. It was a guard. It was hard, really, really hard, almost like a plaster of Paris type thing. I don't know what the hell it was.
And you got a catheter in, I'm assuming?
I had a catheter. I had a blood release line. That was all coming out of me, and then I was completely taped up all the way down there. I was kind of pretty much wearing a pair of tape panties at that point, because that's what it felt like. I mean, it was just everywhere. The tape actually hurt coming off.
No, you became a Ken doll.
Pretty much,
There you
yeah. I did. The first thing I did was feel down there, but you couldn't really feel anything because you are numb. I mean, you just had fucking surgery, you know what I mean? And it was numb. It wasn't until day 3 that I was actually able to see it, and reality kicked in, and I was just overjoyed, stupid happy.
Well, it's better than the opposite reaction, which is, oh my God, what did I do?
No, never had that one.
Because you're not taping it back on.
Call the doctor back in.
No, it's funny.
I told her do this.
Yeah,
It'll
doesn't
pop,
work.
it'll pop back
You
out.
should have kept it in a formaldehyde jar or something.
Well, they use parts of it. That's a huge myth, right? So they don't
They don't
lop
just
it
lop
off.
it right
No.
off. No.
I was telling my wife it was that easy.
Lorena Bobbitt.
Yeah.
Right, it was that easy. We just used magic eraser and fucking got rid of the damn thing. Everybody
Telling you
thinks.
that would have been cheaper.
I know, no
quicker.
shit, right? Everybody thinks that these ignorant fucking assholes out there. Oh, did you cut it off? No, I didn't fucking cut it off. Jesus Christ, get an
It gets
education.
reshaped and remolded.
Yes, things get redesigned and reconfigured. Believe it or not,
Reposition it.
well, this might blow your fucking mind, but a clitoris and a penis are fucking identical.
Yep.
Yes.
And people don't realize that. They don't realize that it's the same anatomy. One's just bigger than the other one, and you can actually reshape it to get the things that you need. So I don't have a cervix, so I don't have a uterus. So fucking what?
Girls-
Everything else is the same.
Bodybuilders, women bodybuilders who take testosterone, look at what happens to their clitoris.
Exactly.
Yep, it enlarges. It
Yeah.
happens a lot, even female to male. That's a general thing.
We were actually looking at pictures of that just the other day.
Not me.
No, not you.
don't group
Not
me
you.
in there with that.
But it's a natural curiosity, like you
Guys,
said before.
A couple
You
friends
know?
of mine were.
But it's okay, And the thing about it is, everybody thinks that I don't have any feeling down there. Common question I get as a trans person: well, do you have any feeling down there? Well, of course I did. I did not trade in a perfectly working fucking part for one that didn't. I mean, for the love of God, shit, my orgasms are 1,000 times better than they've ever fucking been.
I think a lot of people think that you just have a big gaping hole down there. I do.
An open wound. I've heard that one.
Nasty hatchet wound.
Yeah, hatchet wound. So I believe that's what a lot of people think. But
Unfortunately.
that's why we're here to talk about it.
Yes, of course.
So you have all
Dispel
this
the myth.
because to be honest with you, what I knew about transition surgery came from one particular place, and it was Howard Stern used to have one of the whack pack was a woman named Shaban.
I remember Shaban.
Shaban had the bottom surgery.
Yes.
And she would go in there and talk about some really gross, disgusting stuff. She had to have a plug in there so it wouldn't heal up or something like that. And I remember this conversation, and I'm listening to the radio because it was just radio at the time, and I'm going, oh, that sounds gross. And she said it would smell, and it was like a healing wound.
Does my vagina smell?
No.
Just checking.
I didn't notice anything when you walked in.
Well, I would hope not.
But so I want to dispel that myth. So
Let me do that.
post surgery, what is the aftercare for you to have a fully functional vagina?
All right. Well, the first year it's a difficult one, right? It requires a lot of dedication and a lot of time for the first year. You are pretty much glued to your fucking house. If you try to run a normal life, forget it, it's not going to happen. You have to dilate. I had to dilate twice a day. Some doctors, it's 4 times a fucking day. Dilation takes a while. Basically, all dilation is God, I wish I had brought one with me. It is a hard.
Thank God you did.
Well, I mean, I've got some that I've never used, but the point is they have
Medical instruments.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they have measurements on it, I think mine has one up to 1 to 7 inches, I think, on it. And so, they start small and they go larger.
Is it like a penis, like a plastic penis? Or
It's a plastic dildo, more or less. It's just it's straight, it's hard plastic, and it's no fucking pleasure whatsoever, I assure you. But I throw a condom over it and you dilate, and you stay about 15 minutes. You put it in, you leave it there, and then 15 minutes later you swap it out. You go to a bigger size. It took me months to be able to go to a bigger size, but the idea is to be able to go to a bigger one. Now I probably dilate, Jesus, once a month maybe, but if I'm sexually active, I don't need to dilate. And that's the big myth. People think, like you said, you get this big gaping wound down there. Look, my vagina looks like any other woman out there. You would not be able to tell the difference. I've had friends that, have, taken the pictures of mine and they've lined it up to others, and they never pick my vagina. They never pick mine. They always pick cis women's. It's never mine. It looks identical. It functions like any other vagina.
Which is what you want.
Which is what I wanted,
what you
yeah.
wanted.
I have a, labia majora, a minora, I have a clitoris, I have a urethra, and a vaginal canal like any other woman out there. But, dilation is something that was invented for cis women anyway, for women that are born with naturally small vaginal canals, or women that are born without a vaginal canal, which is actually how one of the surgeries for trans people was adapted. It's called the peritoneal pull. And that was adapted from cis women for trans people. So now they can make, a self-lubricating vagina out of a peritoneal pull, which, nobody would walk up to a cis woman who had to have that done and say, oh, well, you don't have a vagina, or you have a gaping hole, or you're not a woman. Nobody would walk up to a cis woman and fucking say that, but it's okay to do this to a trans person. That ain't fucking cool. And so they think it's this giant gaping wound where, you have to see a wound specialist, this, that, the other. No, I don't. I see a gynecologist once a year like anybody else. I have to be, checked for, microabrasions, muscle tone. They check, the skin, the tissue inside to make sure that there's no cancer or anything. So, I have to be swabbed once a year. It's not a pap, it's just a swab.
Yeah.
Just to make sure there's no cancerous cells down there. So it's like, you can put a speculum in, it stretches like anything else, and it's perfect.
Is there any dangers to it? Like if you were with, no disrespect here, but if you went with a guy who was large, is that a problem?
No, as long as you dilate, no, it's not a problem.
Okay.
If you, I get a girlfriend, and she loves having sex with men, bigger the better for her. And if you dilate using the right dilators, it's not going to hurt.
Okay.
And most men, no disrespect to any of you, but you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I'm sorry.
So the first time you get home and you get to be with your wife, coital. Okay.
Post-coital.
Post-penis.
Pre-coital.
Post-penis. The first time, it's got to be a little odd.
It was months. It was months later. You have to
Well,
heal.
yeah, you just had surgery.
Yeah, it was months later.
But there is an eventual time when you're going to have relations, you're going to have sex. What was it like for you to all of a sudden, you're used to one tool, now you got another tool to work with? Did you just work around it?
I stopped having to chase her clit all over the place. It stayed in one place. We were good.
Oh, okay.
there
All
you
right.
go.
Well, that's one way to look at it.
There.
But was it everything that you hoped that it would be?
Yeah, it was. I do need a minor revision. It's got nothing to do with the functionality of it. My labia majora is not symmetric, but we think that's due to the swelling. I really swelled really hard. That's the one part that you can't raise above your heart. You know what I'm saying? So like, I had a lot of swelling. And so it's not, yeah, exactly. What am I doing? Lay on my neck, you know? So it's not exactly symmetrical, but that's not the same result for everybody, you know?
It's just cosmetic, really.
It's cosmetic.
So you
right?
get like
it's a me thing, not a
labia,
functional
like
thing.
you would have to go in for like a labiaplasty.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually I have it done. It's on my list of things. I got other things I want to do right now, and that's just not a priority. That's how little it matters, you know?
Which, by the way, she has to see another psychiatrist before she can do that.
Yeah.
For the
Every
labiaplasty?
step
Yes.
along the way.
Yeah, I have to see another
Why?
psychiatrist.
You're through the surgery.
I
already.
agree.
You're through the worst part of it.
Because
or,
it's-
or the best
not
part
coming
of it,
back.
whichever way you want to
Yeah.
look at it.
To make an appointment with the doctor that I want to go see, unfortunately, I have to make I have to see another psychologist, which I haven't done yet. I have to show the surgical report from Thailand. That makes sense, right? And then I have to have a referral. I've got the referral. I've got the proof that I've been on fucking hormones, that I've transitioned. Shit, I just celebrated 3 years on April 21st of my third year of transitioning, you know? So like, I'm in it to win it, you know? And I'm like, I'm not going back. I mean, I'm just not going back. And so I can't believe that I have to fucking do it. Like,
If you're trans, it
just to
never
make a
ends.
fucking appointment. Just to
amazing.
make a fucking appointment, I have to do that. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? It's stupid.
But
Any doctors out there, for the love of God, call me.
Our audience isn't that smart.
no, we're not there.
Hey, you know, any plastic surgeon, seriously.
But I guarantee every one of our audience is glued to their screen right now, going, "Oh my God, this is the most informative thing I've ever heard in my life."
Ask away.
Because, like you said, it dispels myths.
Dispels myths.
That's kind of what I do on my, on my Twitch and TikTok, is try to dispel myths, to show people that trans people literally are just fucking people.
So, what is the first thing you noticed about you when you go through the surgery? Right, you're now fully a woman.
Yes.
What is the first thing in your life that you realized that was like, wow, this is what I've been missing?
When I went to take my first steps, I got out of bed after being unbandaged. I no longer had a walker in front of me, and
There's nothing hanging.
nothing hanging. Yeah, I swear to God, you think that thing was a counterweight, because my first step, I freaking tripped. Like, I went to step and I was just all over the freaking place. You know, like, she thought she was gonna have to catch me. It was weird, because it's a whole, like, you walk completely different. You know, as a man, you typically, you have your penis, you tend to walk with your legs a little apart, right? And it's like my legs just kind of instantly went together, because there's just nothing there. And my first step was a hard one. It was like stepping off a stair. You get that trip feeling. And that's what it felt like the first time. And that's when I really realized, like, yeah, I've done this. This is fucking amazing. It was just 5 days into it.
Plus, you think you'll never get the head caught in a zipper.
Or never get kicked in the nuts again.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Well, before we move on from that, your testicles, they throw those away.
Yeah, they get rid of that.
They get rid of that. Okay.
It's funny you said that, because when I started transitioning, I started tucking all the time, which is, a lot of trans women tuck, right? And your testicles go into your inguinal canals, right? So it's just a way of putting them away, getting them out of your fucking way. Mine were stuck. I couldn't get them out. Like, I tried the morning of surgery, I tried to, like, get them out so the doctor wouldn't forget the fucking things. I'm like trying to jump, I'm shaking, I'm trying to move shit around, nothing's coming out. And so on the operating table, they do things very different in Thailand. I laid in that operating table for a half an hour before the doctor ever even stepped into that room. I was wide awake watching all the nurses do everything. Meanwhile, my junk's hanging out. I'm just laying on this table, the anesthesiologist behind me, and that was the doctor came in, and I think it was his fifth time looking at me, telling me, that was the other thing I'm going to tell you guys. So I was reminded probably a couple of dozen times how irreversible this surgery was, even right up to the very last time before the doctor nodded his head at the anesthesiologist. He goes, "Now, this is irreversible, right?" I go, "Yeah." And he looked at the anesthesiologist. It was exactly 6:30 in the morning. My surgery was supposed to start. He walked in, he looked at her, and he went, and that was it. And I had to remind him before that my testicles were in my inguinal canals. Please don't fucking forget those goddamn things. Make sure you get them out, because I couldn't.
You have a vagina with testicles.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
Everything went well, except we made this one mistake. So then you start going and you start releasing your life on TikTok. And
I've been
Twitch.
releasing my life before that. I started releasing it when I started my transition about 3 months into it. I started telling my story on TikTok, thinking nobody in the fucking world would listen. It was therapeutic for me. And then all of a sudden, I got fucking popular.
It's amazing, because I've watched your TikTok lives. I don't have Twitch. I'm not that technologically advanced. But
It's like YouTube, trust me.
I've watched your TikTok lives, and so the first time, right before we were going to talk.
Yes.
I remember where I was. I logged on you. I saw you went live. I logged on, and I'm looking, and I'm like, this poor woman's taking a lot of shit. This is awful.
Yeah, people are mean.
People like, you need the one that I remember is, you need Jesus.
Oh my God.
And we got on the phone and we talked about that specifically. And now I'm hearing your story. You've had a higher power with you for a long time, protecting you in a lot of different ways.
I guess you could say that.
There's things placed there, whatever you believe in.
The universe.
Whatever you believe in. But there's been these things in place, and these people are just being so mean. I don't think any human being deserves to have something that mean thrown at them.
Isn't it really just ignorance because they don't know?
That's exactly what it is. It's fear. It's not even ignorance. It's fear of not knowing. It's not being able to understand what's going on. Like, people think that, like I said at the beginning, you asked me what the most, biggest myth about being trans is these people think that my life is some kink, that it's all about sex. You've seen Silence of the Lambs, right? Everybody's fucking seen that. You got the guy Buffalo Bill. Boy, he had that fucking so many fucking.
By the
times.
way, every guy, and I don't care who they are, every guy has Buffalo Billed at one time in a mirror. Every single guy, whether you're gay, straight, don't matter. Everybody's done it.
And you're probably absolutely right. But the crazy part is I hear that a lot. And the funny thing is that if you watch the effing movie, you know that Hannibal Lecter says he's not trans. He's just trying to fit in and find himself, and he just thinks he is, but he isn't. And he said he's more of a transvestite, which is more of a I guess a thing. I mean, it's not my thing, but it's a thing, and that's cool. Whatever your thing is, that is about sex. You know what I mean? Being a transvestite, that's about sex. Being an autogynephiliac, which I get called all the fucking time, but there's a difference between an autogynephiliac and a trans person. An autogynephiliac is aroused by the thought of what it's like to be the other gender while they're intimate with their partner. They don't fucking change their bodies. I didn't go through 3 years of, hormones and surgeries and all this shit just to gain access to the fucking ladies' room. Are you kidding me right now? Man, if I wanted to walk into a ladies' room, I could have fucking done that. I've done it by accident quite a few times as a male. You know what I mean? Especially after detransition. I've done it a couple of times without even thinking about it. And
so does it offend you if I tell you I identify with whatever bathroom is open, depending on how bad I got to go?
No, I can care less. Down here in New Jersey Airport, they have all gender bathrooms. I thought that was great.
No, because I've done it before. I've walked in, tried to get to the men's room. It's locked. I walk into the women's room and I come out and women are standing there. It's the women's room, and I'm like, I identify as a female today. I swear to God, I've done it.
Yeah, but that's the problem. That's it right there. You can't do that. That's what confuses people.
It was a single person.
No, I get you. No, I get you. But it's just, people think that my life is about sex. Honest to God, it's got nothing to do with that. It's about being comfortable in my skin.
In your own skin.
And people do shit to be comfortable in their own skin all the time. You weightlift, right? So you work out. I don't know if you work out, but I know you work out. I can see it, right? So I mean, you work.
Backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Well, over there with his cheat day on, I think it's cute. But I mean, it's very clear you work out. That's the point. But people do so many different things. You get your haircuts, or you work out, or you whatever it may be that is you fancy, whatever. Everybody does something to affirm their fucking gender every day. Everybody does things to be comfortable in their own skin, whether it's get your nails done, get a haircut, do your makeup, get all the plastic surgeries in the world that you could possibly ever want. What the hell is the difference about me doing it?
Well, it comes down to this, and I said this earlier. I don't think it was a choice.
No, I wouldn't choose this. I'd give it back in a heartbeat.
You're right. I don't think it was a choice because, again, you would be choosing a difficult life because from what I've heard from these people on TikTok,
it's a hard life.
It's a hard life.
Yes.
You're always going to be looked at a little bit differently. You're always going to be looked at in a certain way. People are just going to throw these negative comments, which I don't even understand because if I don't agree with something, I'm not wasting my energy putting a comment in there. I just don't.
No.
It's like, okay, I turn it off.
It's got to be ignorance. Why does anybody care? It's not their life. It's
No,
your life.
You're absolutely right.
So why would anybody cast judgment on anybody that wants to do that? I don't understand.
It's just fear. It's fear of what the biggest fear of most men is that I find being attracted to a trans person. They think that if they're attracted to a trans person that they're gay. No, you're attracted to a woman. Period. Or you're attracted to a man if you're a woman, vice versa. Because there are others. It's probably 1 out of 20 women, maybe. It might even be 1 out of 50 for that matter. That just is hateful. I do encounter that too, but. Most men, they fear the unknown. They fear of things they don't understand. And, I don't know. I don't know what it is, what causes it, but I know that, if a male is attracted to a trans woman, they feel that they're gay and now they feel fucking threatened, and when they feel threatened, what do? You lash out. It makes sense, but you're not gay if you look at somebody as a woman and, oh, that's attractive. I like that.
That's because every homophobic or transphobic male will automatically think that either that other gay person wants them or that trans person wants them.
Yeah.
And that's
a bunch of bullshit.
That's,
I have a type like everybody else, man.
Yeah, everybody's got a type.
I like redheads. I mean, I got a type. Everybody's got a type. Just because, you're a male or a woman doesn't mean I fucking want you. It's the same thing with gay guys. Everybody has a type. Just because you're a guy and he's gay doesn't mean he fucking wants you.
So the one thing about you that really impressed me the most, so when I first looked you up, because I got to be honest with you, Justin hit the nail on the head when he described me to you, because I got to get you in contact with my friend Lexi. She's cool as shit. He wasn't lying. You're cool as shit.
I appreciate that.
Definitely outspoken and proud of yourself. And I mean, it's
I'm not ashamed of myself. I'm very proud of who I am.
But
good
most
for you.
you had pronouns on one of your social media accounts.
TikTok, she, her, hers.
She, hers. You're not they, them, which
No.
I think is disrespectful to anybody. I don't like that term. They,
I know you
them.
have a hard time with that one.
But you're a woman.
Yes.
You see yourself as a woman.
Yes.
You present as a woman.
Yes.
You are a woman.
Yes, even we have a dog sitter right now currently. I like to tell the story 'cause it just happened to me. We hired a dog sitter up a Rover to watch our dogs, for the day that we came up here. And she thought I was a cis woman. She had no idea. She just thought I was a heavy smoker, which I do smoke, but she thought I was just a heavy smoker and had a raspy voice for a woman. She had not a fucking clue until I fucking told her. She didn't even know. Now, I don't know if I present that way or not, how anybody sees me. I don't see myself the same way that, you would see me or she sees me. I see myself sometimes, unfortunately, I still see the him, because I lived that life for so long.
For so long, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what other people see when they look at me. I don't know if they see a woman, they see a trans person, if they don't know, if they're really unsure. Like, I just don't know.
Well, if you talk to you for 5 minutes, you'll see Lexi. That's the truth.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Talk to you for 5 minutes. You're going to see who you really are.
Yeah.
And you won't see dead name.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No,
So-
he was just an act.
So where can our audience find you?
Your audience can find me all over the place. My main platform is Twitch at Just a Girl Lexi, or TikTok at Just a Girl Lexi. I do a few side things on YouTube now and again. I have a podcast on Spotify that I kind of got to get back to. I got a link tree, Just a Girl Lexi, and you can pretty much find me on almost any social media platform, including Instagram.
Well, we're gonna put links to all of your social media. Crystal, Lexi, this has been it's been a lot of fun, and it's been very informative.
Enlightening.
You've dispelled a lot of myths that a lot of people had, including myself.
Glad I could do that.
Now we're coming to the end of this thing here, and we end every show the same way because you've gone through this life of suffering, not just your transition, the other stuff as well, and you've had to have learned something about it.
Oh, have I learned a lot.
But I want you to tell our audience, what has your suffering taught you?
Strive. No matter what life throws at you, don't let it put you down. No matter how hard it is, no matter how easy. I don't really think easy is good, but I would say no matter how hard life is, that there's a way out. There's always a way out. We all strive to do our best. We all strive to be the best. We all just want to survive one day at a time. And every single day I wake up, I got 4 rules that I live by. So I repeat them myself every fucking morning. I say, be yourself. The world will adjust. And if they don't, fuck them. Do you, because no one else will. Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. The only opinion of you that matters is your own. And the last, you got one life to live, Lexi. Live it for you and live it for no one else. And have no effing regrets, because at the end of the day, we're all chasing death, every one of us.
It's like you were saying strive. I was going to say just strive to be you.
Yeah.
Just strive to be yourself.
Yep.
That's really all that matters.
And we're all chasing death. So just when I get on my deathbed, I don't want any woulda, shoulda, couldas. I want to say, you know what? I lived the best me that I could be. And we were happy doing it.
I don't think anybody's going to say that you didn't live life to the fullest. I appreciate both of you coming in here. I appreciate you talking openly with us. I think it's been wonderful, and
It's been my pleasure.
you're now part of our family.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of a Trans Woman, Part 2. And let's think about all this stuff that we learn. And there's a lot of them, so hang tight. Is it nature or is it nurture? It's not for us to decide. Hiding who you are will eventually come out. Desperation will do amazing things. Sometimes you become what you hate. Be who you want to be. Never hide who you are. But most importantly, the more you push, the more you draw it in.
Amen.
That's for both of you. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. Don't forget to go to popple.com, put in the code TSP20 for your digital business card. Follow us on all social media. That's LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
Pornhub.
Follow Mike at Mike_Fillets. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And, of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.